everybody, and welcome back to how you can become an archer in Hypixel Skyblock. This is the complete guide to archer gear for Hypixel Skyblock. I used to be an archer myself, and the last time that I made an archer guide video, I actually was, but it was a long time ago. And let's just say it's changed a lot. You know, they've added some things you may have heard of, like the Terminator and all of that. So, pretty much everything has changed. And a lot of the weapons I used to recommend are basically either nerfed into the ground or just not part of the meta anymore. So, let's get into the best setups for early game, mid game, and late game to be an archer in Hypixel Skyblock. There should be description timestamps if you want to skip to the section that works best for you. Just click down below to see if that works for you. So, let's get into the video. If you're an early game, then you should probably play another class, but you can still be a decent archer. I would recommend Burrs just because it's going to be better and cheaper to start out, but if you want to play archer, then I would recommend starting out with a Rend Hurricane Bow, Skeleton Master Armor, and a Skeleton Pet. This gear is very cheap. If you look on the auction house, you can see a Hurricane Bow is really not that expensive. You can buy a Rend 1 book for like 550k, and Hurricane Bows are pretty much even cheaper. So I highly recommend you try this out if you're looking for something that is cheap, but still gets you a lot of damage. Same with Skeleton Master Armor, it'll increase your arrow damage. It won't give you that much damage, but it is very cheap. So you should be able to get a pretty good deal on it. Even maybe some recombed ones or legendary ones, you can get a maybe good deal on, depending on how you're able to buy it. And if you're an early game, a good pet fit for you would be the Skeleton Pet, which you can get on the auction house for not that much. And you can see they do actually give you some decent stat increases that will help you as an early game archer. But if you really want to keep playing archer, you really should start grinding your Enderman Slayer. Enderman Slayer is basically the archer slayer right now. You basically need it for all of the rest of archer gameplay. So start grinding some Enderman Slayer, and for mid-game, you're going to want to get it up to level 3. So for mid-game, you'll be able to handle most dungeons. You're going to want to get a Juju short bow. This is one of the most popular bows out there right now. And that's because it's really good, and it's really, really cheap. As you can see, you can get one for about 20 million coins, which as far as dungeon weapons go is pretty inexpensive. And you need to get to Enderman Slayer 3, which if you're doing it as a prerequisite grind to grinding for dungeons is honestly not that bad. So I highly recommend you try to get that if you're going for a mid-game weapon. Now, I would also recommend Shadow Assassin Armor. If you are still saving up for a chestplate, you can use Skeleton Master or a Zombie Knight chestplate. And I would highly recommend getting the Shadow Assassin chestplate, but the Juju Shortbow, of course, takes priority if you can only afford the 3/4. Archer speed isn't great, so I would recommend getting a Rogue Sword just as a tool. Same with a Florid Zombie Sword to heal yourself. A Power Orb like the Mana Flux will give you some boosts as well, and some pet. Either the Blue Whale Pet if you want extra HP, or the Wither Skeleton Pet for damage on floor 7, or if you really just want to not afford anything, you can go for the Skeleton Pet, which is just pretty cheap, increases your damage, stuff like that. But basically, really any damage pet should do the job, and you should, of course, start grinding your Enderman Slayer level up and grinding for coins, because the jump to late game, end game setup is very, very expensive. And that's because the next weapon that you're going to want to become an archer is the Terminator. That's right, it costs a lot of coins. If you look up the Terminator, you'll see they do not come cheap. The cheapest one out there right now is 776 million coins. So that's, a bit above most people's price range. You're going to want 3/4 max Necron armor with a golden or diamond Necron head. If you're survivable enough, you can use max sword boots for some extra speed. And of course, you're going to want a Terminator. The Terminator will give you a lot of damage. It is insane. It's a crazy weapon. You need Enderman Slayer 7. And yeah, it's a crazy weapon. But it's very expensive. If you do have the money for it, I would also recommend something like a Valkyrie or Hyperion just to help you teleport around, which can be slightly useful if your speed is lower, and just having a weapon like that is always a good option just as a backup. And other tools like an Ice Spray Wand, a Rogue Sword, things I've mentioned before, can be very useful as well. Now let's get into pets. There's a bunch of pet options, and really they depend on how much you're willing to spend. Stuff like the Blue Whale pet or Wither Skeleton pet from before are still good choices, but if you have, like, infinite money, high damage pets like the Ender Dragon pet will of course deal the most damage. Or if you're looking for more speed, you'll want to pick the Black Cat pet. It really just depends on which stat you're trying to increase at this point, because you're probably dealing enough damage to kill everything on sight because, the Terminator. So, I really hope this guide was helpful. That late game, it didn't help that many people, but I hope the mid game and early game setups helped some people that are starting out in the game. If you did enjoy it, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.